Hi, welcome to episode 8. Today we're going to discuss a little further on the life of Jesus.
Thank you very much, Isabella. So, this is episode 8, and this is not, full of a lot of changes, but just to resume basically from where we left.
Right.
Our main character, Yeshua, for the first time, went to Jerusalem for his bar mitzvah.
Okay.
And there they met Yo Hanan, who is an old friend of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided actually to go and take a long trip to the east and the southeast. Yeah.
Wow. How old?
Yeah.
Now, wait, remind me how old he was at this time?
Well, Yeshua is 13 and a half, 13
Okay.
years old, going on 14. Yosh, on the other hand, is a lot older.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be the two of them?
Apparently, it's just the two of them. Yeah. So a
Okay.
caravan is being arranged, and Yusuf of Arimathea, the uncle, is putting all this stuff together.
Okay.
Yeah. So our protagonist, basically Yusuf and his family, are back to the village, the native village in Galilee. And when they arrive, they find some guests.
Oh.
A cousin of Miriam called Elisheva, who basically means Elizabeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had arrived the day before their return, and she has decided to stay with them for a few days.
Oh, okay.
So the interesting things about this Elisheva is that she's much older than Miriam, our cousin, but she also had an interesting experience. She was visited by angels and by lights before becoming pregnant.
So another Adam seed. Oh,
She
okay.
was also part. She also had an experience of immaculate conception.
Okay.
So Miriam is not the only one to have an immaculate conception, and our cousin Elisheba also had immaculate conception. So again, for the people who have not listened to the episode 1 about the immaculate conception is the insertion of the atom seed into the mother, right? But sexual unions still need to apply to fabricate the physical vessel, physical body. Okay? So, they're all very happy to see each other. It has been a long time. And Elisheba introduced our son, who is now 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And our son's name is Yo Hanan.
Yo Hanan.
Yo Hanan, yeah. So Yo Hanan, just to help our audience, can be extrapolated to Johann, which is a common name in France and also in the northern part of Europe. And then Johann turns into Jean, and then becomes John in English.
Okay.
And to be closer to the people who are following the Bibles, it becomes John the Baptist.
Oh,
later
my goodness. On. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, obviously, Yeshua and Yo Hanan connect immediately, They probably have been together in previous lifetimes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Yeshua tells Yo Hanan, "It has been a long time, Yo Hanan." And Yo Hanan responds to Yeshua, "Yes, it was a long time ago, Yeshua. But we are back together."
Yeah. Have you had those experiences yourself? Like you had those kind of like, I've known you.
No.
No?
No. Have you?
Oh, yes. Many times.
Okay. No, honestly, no. I didn't have anything so obvious. But
I think when we first met, you felt that way.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't have that immediate understanding. But the people who are orbiting around us are usually people who we have
We've been around with them.
in previous lifetimes, yes.
Been around the block with them a couple of times.
A couple of times, yeah. So
Good and bad experiences, right?
Yeah, it could be anything, yeah. So the two young men are quickly becoming inseparable, and they are talking about Hawun, and so...
They're talking about what?
Hawun, God.
Oh,
the Creator,
okay.
the Eternal.
Okay.
That's the term they use, Hawoun, Hawun, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they call him. And so they're inseparable. They are spending, all their time together talking about their respective training. So our audience probably remember that Yeshua spent 6 years at the Mystery School of Carmel, right, in the northern part of Galilee.
That's right.
But Yo Hanan, on the other hand, has done all his training and learning in the desert.
Well, he also had some training. I know he was young, but when he went to Egypt, right?
Yes.
He probably received more frequencies and downloads there.
I mean, he probably has been training since he was born.
Because he was pretty, he was pretty young then.
And as we will see in the future also, the life of Yeshua is basically, it's unlimited and unstoppable, endless training until the age of about 31 years old. Yeah. And then he will become the master. So Yo Hanan and his mother Elisheva and his father Zachary are living around Jericho, and we will be displaying a map on that video so people can relate, exactly where Jericho is located, Jerusalem, the village of Yeshua in Galilee. So I think it's important to locate all these
Yeah, it'd be good because it's nice to
villages.
get a picture.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So everything goes for the best because Elisheva and Yo Hanan decided to stay an additional month in the village.
Oh, okay.
So
catch
up, and they have a lot of things to catch up with, and it's actually a perfect time for Yeshua and Yo Hanan because they have so much to share.
And for the women to share too.
Yes,
I mean,
obviously, yeah.
You definitely want to have somebody who's been through the same thing that you have because it's really a miracle.
Right.
What they've been through, and it's so nice to be able to have somebody to relate that to, right?
Yes.
So.
And so at the end of their journey, at the end of the sojourn, basically, Elisheva invites Yeshua to go back with them to Jericho.
Oh.
So he's quite excited about that because for the first time, a 13-year-old, he's going to be traveling by himself without his parents.
Typical teenager.
Yes. And, spend some time and visit the desert. And also Yo Hanan wants to take Yeshua to the Monastery of Qumran, which at that time they call it Sukkot. Okay. So
now Qumran, right, that's where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls,
that's
right?
where they found some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, yes. All right. So we're going to talk about the Monastery of Qumran, and there is a lot to say. I don't want to say too much about it, especially negative things in this presentation, but the next one we will talk about it in greater details. Negative things, yes. Okay. Yeah, because, since we breached the subject, yeah, the teaching and the way of seeing, the way of approaching life in Qumran is completely opposite and different from what the training of Yeshua was in the Carmel School of Mystery.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to get in a little bit into
kind of like
that.
Different, it could be the same religion, but they like Christians and then Catholics and, right? Kind of like that? Is that what you mean?
It's even more pronounced than that.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So on the day of the departure, they all leave. I mean, it's basically Elisheva, Yo Hanan, and Yeshua, the three of them, going down, and they walk to Jericho. So arriving in Jericho, in the house of Elisheva, Yeshua meets Zachary. Zachary is perhaps a name that is familiar to the people who have been studying the Bible. He's basically the father of Yo Hanan, and he's quite old, even much older than Elisheva, who is already older. And the poor lad is suffering from his hip. He cannot walk because one of his hip is no longer functioning. So it's atrocious pain, and it's not very funny for him. So Yeshua and Yo Hanan decided to go to the desert because Yo Hanan wants to take Yeshua to the desert so he can meet with some of the old foxes, who are living in caves and
The old sages, right?
the old sages.
You would
Yes,
think it'd be the old
yeah.
sages.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and those people are basically have renounced to everything. They live like in a very ascetic way of
Okay.
living. So we will see that, but there is a strong disconnect, a strong opposition between the way those people live in the desert and the way Yeshua was taught in the Carmel School of Mystery. So their life is really really ascetic and very
Well,
very
it's almost a life of lack.
Yes,
I don't think we
yes.
came here to live a life of lack, right?
So they decided to climb in the mountain. So all around Jericho, it is surrounded by cliffs. And people who have been to the Monastery of Qumran or who have been looking at videos of Qumran, you can see that the mountains surrounding the Qumran monastery are just cliffs, okay? And those cliffs it's like a Swiss cheese, basically. You have holes and caves all over the place.
And it's a steep climb.
Yeah,
to those,
it's a very
to those
steep and
caves.
dangerous
I don't know
climb,
how
yeah.
they did it, but yeah.
And so most of those caves and holes in the mountains have some kind of anchorites, or some kind of people living in there.
When you say anchorites,
Yeah, anchorites are basically the terms, or anachoret, the term used to describe those people who have renounced everything
oh, okay,
and are living like a full life for renunciation and only praying and visualizing, certain things.
so just living off the manna. I mean, how do
no, they don't live off of a manna. I mean, they still need some food.
sustenance? Okay.
And I suspect that there are some people who are in charge of bringing them water
Okay.
and a little bit of food. But I mean, the term is anchorites or anachoret. I mean, and so they met one guy, and this man invites them to stay into his cave. And they discuss a little bit, and obviously Yeshua and that man have some kind of discussion, and they see things slightly in a different way.
It's kind of interesting. They're having this conversation with a teenager,
Yes,
basically.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
And they're probably
Right.
like, okay,
And Yo Hanan is more in favor of the anchorites because,
well, he grew up with
he
that.
grew up with them, so it's more.
That's understandable.
So finally, at the end, during the night, they all fall asleep, and Yeshua feels like his consciousness is being lifted out of his body. Okay, and he's not really controlling the destination where he's gonna go and what will happen, but his astral body is taken to the house of Elisheba and Zachary.
Okay.
And there, he hovers above the bedroom and he sees Zachary, in enormous, excruciating pain.
Oh, okay.
So he tries to, from his astral body, he tries to heal him and actually reduce significantly the pain in the hips, And after a while, Zachary managed to fall asleep and sleeps peacefully.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So we don't know exactly if in the coming days he's going to be able to walk again, but it's most likely, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
That's a nice little surprise.
That's
I wonder if he knows that. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. If he knows
it's
that
being
it's
healed
Yeshua.
in his sleep, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then after the healing session, the consciousness of Yeshua is taken to the Monastery of Qumran, which at that time again is called Sokuk, S-O-K-U-K. Okay, that's how they call it. And so again, his body, is floating in the astral plane, so he's flying above the buildings and everything, and he sees everything is very poor condition, extremely poorly maintained, almost derelict. And he gets into the building again, because when you are in the astral plane, there is no physical limitations to what you can do.
Right.
And he sees people with very long hair, long beard, the skin is covered with ashes. Okay?
Oh,
Because they are what they call Nazirs. Okay.
Could it be the Nazarenes?
No,
No.
it's
Okay.
different.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
It sounds the same, but
Yeah. Okay.
it's a different
Okay.
different cult, different sect, if you want to call it like that, or different movement of thinking.
Yeah.
But those people are basically renouncing to everything and letting her hair grow, no physical maintenance whatsoever. The skin is constantly covered with ashes, and they are just praying and going through psalmodies, all day long, all night long.
Can you explain what that is?
Well, it's some kind of
Are you saying samadhi?
repeating mantras.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, right. Repeating mantras, repeating prayers. To the point where you almost lose consciousness about what you're doing, and to prevent them from falling on the ground, or hurting themselves, they're actually attached to their chairs. So they have some kind of backrest, and there is a belt around their chest attached to the backrest to prevent them from, losing consciousness and falling on the ground or hurting themselves.
Which could definitely happen.
Yes. So Yeshua is at the same time impressed, but also puzzled by this way of doing. Again, Yeshua, as we know him later, is coming on this planet to bring balance, the balance between the body and the spiritual aspect, where both have to be merged and fused together, and where spiritual growth cannot happen without taking care of both sides.
Right. But when you're telling me that, I'm thinking that maybe they're there to hold that space of energy. It could be that. I mean, when they're in expansion and I don't know. I think there's a purpose for that. I think there's a purpose for prayer and
yes, there is definitely a purpose for
higher states of
renunciation.
consciousness
And we will see again later on, once Yeshua goes to India, we will see similar groups of people praying for certain purposes, and we will understand why they do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that will be explained. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So after the night, spent in one of the caves on the cliff, they all go. The two boys goes back down to Jericho. And Yo Hanan offers to Yeshua, would you like to visit the Monastery of Qumran?
Been there, done that. No, I'm sorry.
And Yeshua tells him, no thanks, I've seen it. I've seen enough of it. I have really no interest. It's kind of
Yeah.
But anyway, he's probably more polite than that.
Right.
And Yo Hanan, at this point, tells Yeshua that he's going to take his vow of becoming a Nazir.
Okay.
So Yo Hanan is basically going to let his hair grow as long as he can, his beard grows as long as he can, probably do some kind of, renunciation about food and do a lot of prayers, cover his skin with ashes and become a Nazir.
Now, I thought he was John the Baptist.
He will become John the Baptist
He will.
later
Okay,
on. Yes.
later. Okay,
Yeah.
so he
But
doesn't
right now
stay
he's
there
just-
doing that. Okay.
Right now he's
maybe
just
it's part of his...
a young man of 19, 20
yeah.
years old. And part of his initiation
Right.
or his training is also to become a Nazir,
Okay.
So Yeshua is... and of course, Yo Hanan asked him, would you like to do that? Would you like to take your vows of becoming Nazir?
Yeah.
So even though Yeshua has been impressed by the dedication of these
Right.
monks, in the monastery, he's wondering, maybe it's not exactly for me yet. Yeah. So he's hesitating.
He kindly backed out.
Right. And, after a while, basically, Yeshua goes back and walks back to his village, by himself. So we're going to stop here today.
Okay.
And during our episode number 9, next time we will talk about what happens when Yoshiram comes to pick up Yeshua.
Okay.
And they start this long journey to the east.
That's a long journey from where they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Again, thank you very much for your attention, and
Thank
we hope
you.
you enjoyed that episode.
Yes.